Do you think that the border would be less of a talking point now if there was less migration to the border, say if somebody had addressed root causes of migration sooner?
Look, y'all, it's just getting worse and worse for Kamala Harris. Jean-Pierre, is nothing you can say that's going to stop the truth from coming out. Thank you, Peter Doocy. This video is brought to you by Ground.News. We'll get to that here in a second. Link is in the description section. But ladies and gentlemen, like this video, comment on this video. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. I have to talk about this beatdown with Jean-Pierre. You know, this woman is like gaslighting America every single day that she's before the press. And thank God for people like Peter Doocy that exposes these liars and evil villains when it comes to facts and reality that the public needs to know about. They can't just keep gaslighting us and lying to us and just making up false claims, presenting them as if they're true. Now, we should be able to rely on the press secretary to tell the truth. We should be able to rely on Peter Doocy and others in the press to challenge them. But what I tell you that we can't rely on is news if you're only going from one source. That's why I want to tell you guys about Ground.News. That's why I love Ground.News, because it's balanced. And obviously, since this story is incredibly popular, but people are still sending in articles, and Ground.News is still finding articles, we still see that there's a small number, but it's going to get bigger as time goes along. The last update was 3 hours ago. So if you look at the way this is covered, because the right covers it differently than the left, but only Ground.News set it up so you can see the truth and you can see how people are covering this. Look right over here in this section here, and it shows you very clearly that there are 9 right-leaning articles versus 3 left-leaning articles. Why is that, Brandon? It's because the left don't want you to hear nothing about this beatdown with Peter Doocy challenging Jean-Pierre on the border. And here's all the articles. You can go through them like this. You can click on them. Obviously, we found our article from in here. You can go to the left, read what they're saying. Go to the right, read what they're saying on the right. People in the center are trying to avoid this, but it's invaluable that you read it. Do you want to know the factualization of some of these articles? You can go here. It's a mixed bag of factualization. You go here to bias distribution. You can see that it's biased towards the right. All of these things are incredibly important for you to have in your arsenal, not just to know what the facts are saying, but to know the direction that it's coming from and to be informed like your boy here. That's why I'm always right about everything, because I know what this side is saying and what this side is saying. And right now, if you go to ground.news/Tatum and you subscribe through my link, you'll get 40% off the Vantage plan, which is the one that I use for unlimited access. Thank you. A huge shout out to Ground.News. Let's get back to the subject at hand. I want to put on the screen the clip of Jean-Pierre getting smoked like a blunt, and for you country folks getting smoked like a brisket, because they are just lying and making up stuff, and they think we stupid. So on this video, we're going to see her get destroyed by Peter Doocy. And then after that, I'm going to show evidence in the mainstream media, even on CNN, where they call Kamala Harris the border czar. And then after Biden dropped out, after they got talking points, they now say that she was never the border czar. I'm going to show you the proof. Roll the clip.
Democrats on Capitol Hill are being handed this card with talking points.
Democrats on Capitol Hill handed talking points. Let me tell you something. I've been doing political commentary for the last like 5 or 6 years. I have never received anything like this from the Trump administration or from Republicans telling me, I wish I had something like this, telling me some talking points that I should say to help Donald Trump win the election. I wish they sent me something like this. They need to send me something like this with all the facts. So anytime somebody asks you, you can give them all the facts. Come on, Trump administration, if y'all out there, we need to make some stuff like this. But I've never received this. Look at what the Democrats doing.
About the vice president and the border. Do you know who's handing this out?
I have no idea. You probably should ask her campaign.
So the first one says Vice President Harris was never appointed border czar. There's never been such a position. It doesn't exist. Why are Democrats so sensitive about the vice president and the border?
Why are Republicans so sensitive about actually not owning up to them getting in the way of a border deal? Why? Why won't they own up to that? Why won't they own up to the last president told them not to move forward? It was a bipartisan deal on just right there, available to them, and they voted twice against it. Twice against it. Why are they so sensitive to moving forward and actually dealing on an issue that majority of Americans care about, is dealing with what's going on at the border?
Do you think that the...
Hold on, she thought she really said something. You know how much hogwash that is? Ma'am, why do y'all wait till his last year in a campaign season to do something about the border? And then, you know, that's the thing. Like, well, the first year you did nothing, the second year you did nothing, the third you did nothing, and now in an election year you want to do something about it. It just doesn't work that way. You just can't lie to us like that. You guys did nothing. Kamala Harris did nothing, and now he's signing an executive order. You should have signed executive order on day one. Why didn't you? Why during election season you now have found the courage to do something about the border?
Border would be less of a talking point now if there was less migration to the border, say if somebody had addressed root causes of migration sooner.
Wait, hold on a second. Did you not hear the beginning of I know there were a lot of toppers, but one of the toppers, I talked about what we're seeing at the border. It's down by 55%, not because of Republicans in Congress and what they did. It's because what this president and this vice president did. He moved forward and took actions to deal with what's going on at the border. Republicans continue to block getting resources to the Border Patrol agents. They continue to block actually dealing with an immigration system. So yes, we are going to debunk the false characterization of the vice president. She was not a border czar. And it's not just us. Independent fact checkers have said the same thing, that did not exist, and that is not true.
All right, she finna get that head whooped. I want y'all to watch this very clearly. This is the part of the video where you share with your mama and them and your cousin them when they tell you she wasn't a border czar. Republicans are just making that up. Kamala Harris isn't. I want you to pay attention to what news outlet is saying these things. Pay attention to what they're saying. They lied to you. Jean-Pierre is a liar. Call these people out. I don't know why this is not fact-checked. Roll the clip.
Quote-unquote border czar. Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People gonna have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
Okay, shout out to this news station. We'll put a link to them in the description section. Y'all saw it. You saw it. I saw it. We all saw it. They're liars. They're flat out deceiving liars. She was deemed the border czar. Everybody knows it. All they do is lie and make up stuff now that they've been caught, and they've been caught red-handed. Now they want to say that there's no such thing as a border czar. Like, she was deemed to be in that position, and it's very hurtful to her new campaign because the border is such a catastrophe, which is one of the talking points of this election cycle. One of the biggest issues the American people want to address is the United States border. And she failed in that administration. Now they want to backtrack. Now they want to rewrite history. Like Jim was telling me, Orwellian actions of rewriting history. You just write it out of history. Y'all said she was the border czar for I don't know how long, years. Never corrected it. Never changed it. Never did anything. Now that it's a problem, all of a sudden it's a campaign to say she never was the border czar. I hope y'all waking up to this, man. Send this to your crazy grandma and them that still want to vote for these Democrats. It's insane. But anyway, comment in the comment section. Am I tripping or am I on to something? I'm out.